Hello, I'm Iris, your loyal friend in China. Today I'm gonna share with you some tips for how to resolve a legal dispute with the Chinese counterpart in international trade. China is the hotspot for international trade. Various scenarios in international trade involve a Chinese entity. Chinese enterprises can be your supplier, your customer, the middleman, your business referee. So it is not unusual if a legal dispute occurs between you and a Chinese counterparty. Actually, I believe something like this happens every day. In this video, I'm not only introduced how to resolve a legal dispute when a dispute has already become a reality, but also share with you some important tips about how to avoid these disputes in the first place. So I suggest you watch this video to the end. Besides, you should really follow this channel. I'm a Chinese lawyer focusing on international business. I'm telling you, I'm very confident that if I listen to my advice in each video, you will definitely minimize the losses to your businesses due to legal risks.
Nice.
Okay, let's start. If you already encounter a legal dispute with your Chinese counterparty, and the negotiation between your two sides has already failed, you need to get a lawyer involved to analyze the situation from an objective perspective. Then decide whether to take any legal actions. Mostly, once the Chinese lawyer gets involved, the lawyer will firstly seek the opportunity to resolve the dispute via non-litigation approach. Under this approach, the lawyer normally issue a formal legal letter to the Chinese counterparty. Such a legal letter is not as strong as litigation, but it's stronger than your informal, friendly talking. It is the formal legal document which generally states the legal facts, the legal analysis, and it is also a formal invite to the other party to talk to the lawyer. It is delivered to the Chinese counterparty directly from the law firm and opens up a formal conversation between the two sides. If the dispute can be resolved via this manner, then it is good for both parties because it saves the energy, the time, and most importantly, their legal fee. So both parties can put the saved energy, time, and money into their normal business. In practice, such non-litigation approach can resolve 30 to 40% of disputes. If the result is acceptable to both parties, then everything is fine. But if not, we will have no choice but to resort to the litigation or arbitration if you have agreed in your sales agreement. However, litigation can really be time-consuming in China. There is a first level trial, and then if the result is not acceptable to either party, there may be a second level trial. It also means higher legal fee because the workload is up. So in practice, even if I take a case to the court, I don't give up the opportunity of settlement or mediation. Dispute resolution is our final goal, regardless through which way we can achieve it. If litigation is inevitable, you need to sort out evidence, the agreement, the payment, the delivery, all the evidence one by one. It is something we can discuss further in private if you already encounter a problem. Okay, let's talk about some tips for you to avoid getting yourself into these miserable legal disputes in the first place. These tips can also help you resolve the dispute more easily. I summarized them from my more than 7 years of legal practice in this regard. So what I'm gonna say is very valuable. I advise you to take some notes if necessary. First of all, you should make sure the transaction chain is coherent and consistent. Okay, it sounds a little abstract. Let me make an example for you to better understand. For example, You are a buyer. Your purchase order, namely your PO, says the seller is company A, but your money is paid to a personal account. And the bill of lading says the consignor is company B. So you can see the transaction is not coherent. It has too many different entities. When I get a case like this, my first job is to investigate the relationship between these entities. Luckily, if I found they have strong relations, but what if I don't? It can be tricky to build the fact of the transaction. So my advice is that you should really need to pay attention to these details. To keep the names coherent, the same is the best. But if due to some technical reasons or any other practical reasons, it cannot be done, you should at least ask the Chinese counterparty to make a written explanation about these differences. And you should save the explanation in your computer because it can be really helpful when there is a legal dispute occurs.
有点道理。
Okay, this is the first tip, very important. Second, still you are a buyer, but you also have the customer. It's like you are the middleman, but it is not a strictly defined middleman. The transaction is that you get the ownership of the goods and then resell it to a third party. So in such a case, if the quality or quantity of the goods do not meet your agreed terms, but due to the reason that you need the working cash fast, or you want to minimize the losses, even if the quality or quantity are below the standard, you repair them and you sell them to a third party. After the resale, you ask the Chinese counterparty to compensate you for all the losses. Here is the thing. You need to discuss these losses with the Chinese counterparty first before you take any actions. It is very important. If the problem is about the quality, it is best you get a third-party assessment company to do an assessment. If you cannot do this, at least you should have the photos and videos indicating the quality does not meet your terms. If you want to claim compensation from the Chinese counterparty, you should also consider leaving some samples at your hand. So what I want to say in this part is about keeping evidence. The better you do this, the better the outcome of a legal dispute resolution. If you did nothing about this, how can the Chinese People's Court support your claim? So don't rush reselling the goods to the third party. Consult a lawyer before you take any actions. So this is the second tip. The third one is about the double confirmation on the bank account information. Still, you are a buyer. You and the Chinese counterparty, namely the Chinese seller, communicate via email. You should understand that nowadays there are a lot of email fraud. So please don't take for granted that the bank account information you receive in the email is authentic. Sometimes the fraudster just change a little bit about the email addresses, and you can't even notice there is a difference. So you should double confirm the bank account information before you make the payment. Make a call, have a Zoom meeting. They are all very useful means. If there is an email fraud and you paid to the wrong guy and you claim you already made the payment and it is the Chinese party who failed to deliver the goods, I'm sorry. If your case is handled in a Chinese court, your claim is highly likely to be rejected. Because it is you who breaches the contract by failing to make the payment. The seller, the right person, the right entity, never receives the payment. It is you who paid to the wrong guy. You cannot ask the other party to bear the consequences of your mistake. If I am a lawyer of the Chinese seller, I can beat you with 1 killer. Article 593 of the Chinese Civil Code stipulates Where a party breaches the contract due to a reason attributable to a third party, it shall bear liability for breach of contract to the other party in accordance with the laws. The dispute between the party and the third party should be resolved otherwise. So it is very important for you to double confirm the bank account information before you make any payment. Okay, in this video, I talk about ways to resolve a legal dispute with the Chinese counterparty in international trade. I also talk about the law tips to avoid you getting involved in such disputes in the first place. Hopefully, you have taken notes and you've learned something. I'm Iris Hu, a Chinese lawyer dedicated to international legal services. Follow my channel to get linked up with Chinese laws and regulations and get the latest law tips about international trade and investment. You'll have my best blessings for your business.
Your reliable lawyer in China.